Is blindness a barrier? No.
Is deafness a barrier? No.
Are mobility, learning, cognitive disabilities, speech impairments and others, or even a combination of them, barriers? No way. Lack of accessibility is.
Welcome to Web Accessibility for All.
Follow the blind. This journey starts now.
There is an invisible thread that connects your brain to the screen. When you are working well, that thread is tight. You think a thought, your finger taps a key, and the screen obeys. That is what we call flow. But what happens when the screen decides to disobey? This isn't just about bad code. It's about what happens when we break the contract of trust between human and machine. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Web Accessibility for All, where we look past a compliance checklist to understand why inclusion matters and how we can build a digital landscape that actually works for everyone.
The psychology of flow and user agency.
So ask yourself, what happens when the interface decides it knows better than you? When it physically wrestles control away from your fingers? We often call these smart features, but in the accessibility world, we have a different name for it.
What is input hijacking?
We call it input hijacking. Input hijacking is what happens when a website or an app automatically moves your focus, changes your context, or alters your input without you explicitly asking for it. The developer usually intends to be helpful, to save you a click, to speed you up. But for millions of users, it turns the predictable rhythm of typing into a chaotic struggle for control. To understand the true cost of this, we need to look at the human impact. That's why today I want to take you into the lives of three people. They don't know each other, but they all have their day ruined by the exact same problem.
Case Study 1. Auto Advance Forms versus Motor Disabilities.
Let's start with Silas. Silas is 65, a retired architect. Throughout his career, he treated drawing lines on a blueprint with absolute precision. He treats typing the same way.
I have essential tremors. My hands are always shaking. So for me, hitting a specific key isn't just a tap, it's a physical victory. I have to fight for every letter.
Last Tuesday, Silas tried to log into his bank. He saw those 4 separate boxes for the security code. He took a breath, steadied his hand, and typed the first number, 5. His brain had already sent the next command. He tapped to move to the next box. His finger was already descending. But the bank's developers wanted to be helpful, and this is where the technical failure happens.
The JavaScript race condition.
Under the hood, a developer added a simple piece of logic.
Type one character, then jump to the next input.
It was meant to be a convenience. Instead, it introduced a race condition. The code moves focus instantly in 1 millisecond. But Silas takes about 100 milliseconds to hit tab. Before his finger lands, the cursor has already moved. So his tab fires in the second box.
Keyboard navigation and focus.
This isn't just a glitch. This is a direct violation of the number 1 rule of the web.
Respect the keyboard.
The keyboard is the primary interface for the web. It is the baseline. When you use JavaScript to hijack the focus, you are effectively breaking the browser's native navigation management. This violates WCAG success criteria 3.2.2 on input, which states that
changing the setting of any user interface component should not automatically cause a change of context unless the user has been advised of the behavior.
There was no warning, no little pop-up saying, "Hey Silas, hold on tight." I wasn't advised that the cursor was going to move. I was ambushed.
Silas felt clumsy, but he wasn't clumsy. He was just hijacked.
Case Study 2. Search bar focus stealing and ADHD.
Now, imagine a different kind of pain. Meet Zoe. Zoe is a brilliant data analyst with ADHD. For her, focus is a fragile bubble. When she is in the zone, she flies. But if that bubble, it's gone.
I was hunting for a fix to a server error. I jumped to the search and typed system failure, ERR. I'm still typing, okay? But the search bar sees ERR and decides, for me, that I must want error logs. It didn't just suggest it. It seized my cursor mid-sentence and dropped it straight into a drop-down menu.
Now, her keystrokes weren't creating words. They were triggering menu commands. The screen flashed. The context shifted. The bubble popped. The Nielsen Norman Group calls this a violation of user control and freedom. They warned us that users need an emergency exit, but Zoe didn't get a way out. She got blindsided. The stress hit her instantly. The clear thought she was holding popped, gone. It didn't just break her flow. It stole the one thing she couldn't afford to lose, her focus.
Case Study 3. Screen readers and accessible state management.
Finally, I want you to meet Vera. Vera is a backend engineer, and she's blind. She navigates the web by ear. Recently, Vera needed to log into a major code collaboration platform. Now, the design team for this platform wanted to achieve a specific style. They replaced the standard HTML input with a custom JavaScript-heavy widget.
So I'm sitting there, got my headphones on, just trying to log in. I find the box to enter the verification code, the one they send to you by email. All right, it starts with number 1. I hit the 1 key. And I get nothing. The screen reader is just silent. So I think, okay, weird glitch. I type 2, next code number. Still nothing, just dead air. And honestly, that's when my stomach just drops. Because now I'm flying blind. Did the key actually register? Did I double tap it? Is the browser frozen? Or did my focus jump and now, I'm typing my password into the URL bar? And look, I'm a software engineer, okay? I build this stuff for a living. But in that moment, I felt completely lost. I have no idea if I've typed 3 numbers, 6 numbers, or 0.
That silence is not a bug. It's a design choice. They updated the pixels, but they forgot to update the accessibility tree.
So I ended up having to open Notepad. I typed the code in there, just so I could actually hear it being read back to me. Then I copy it, flip back to the browser, and just paste it blindly. That doesn't feel like security to me. No, it just feels exhausting.
The legal reality.
These 3 stories are all symptoms of the same disease, input hijacking. When you move the user's focus without their permission, you are violating their digital bodily autonomy. This behavior often violates WCAG success criteria 3.2.1 on focus, which states that
when any component receives focus, it does not initiate a change of context.
it can also violate ADA requirements for effective communication because you are effectively gagging the user's ability to interact.
The universal design principle.
We are failing principle free, simple, and intuitive use. We are requiring the user to learn a new set of physics just to operate the door handle. For the disabled user, this is a blocker. For the keyboard user, it causes navigation errors that are physically painful to fix. For the screen reader user, it causes disorientation. And for a cognitive user, it destroys the mental model of cause and effect.
3 rules to fix input hijacking.
Tip 1. Stop auto advance.
Never ever move focus automatically. When a user is typing, I don't care if the field is full. I don't care if the code is valid.
Do this.
Let the user press tab. Let them drive. If you want to help, provide a clear status message like
code complete,
but leave the cursor where it is.
Tip 2. Accessible autocomplete and combo box focus.
In search bars and combo boxes, suggestions should be visual only until the user explicitly invites them.
Do this.
Use ARIA Active Descendant to highlight options, but keep the actual focus in the text input so the user can keep typing. Never steal the cursor for a guess.
Tip 3. ARIA Live and feedback for custom inputs.
If you create a custom input, you are responsible for rebuilding the sound.
Do this.
If you mask visuals, ensure the ARIA value now or ARIA label updates with every keystroke. Silence is another option.
Designing for control, not just speed.
Listen, I know why we build these features. That comes from a good place, but true helpfulness isn't about taking over. It's about being ready. Ultimately, the most accessible experience you can build isn't the one that moves the fastest. It's the one that patiently waits for the user to say,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I hope this episode gives you a new lens to look at your own projects. Go hunt for those ghosts in your machine. Test your forms. Slow down your interactions. And remember that sometimes the best feature you can ship is simply control. Until our next episode, keep building for everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us today. Subscribe for a new challenge next week. And don't be shy. Leave us a review or ask your accessibility questions online. See you next week for another episode of Web Accessibility for All.